Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. I'm your host, Heather McMahan. Welcome to this bonus edition, part 2 of the Italian extravaganza. If you listened on Wednesday of this week, I did part 1 of the trip. Y'all are nosy little bitches, and you like to know every minute detail. So I'm giving you part 2. And you're probably like, Heather, why didn't you just make it an extra long podcast? Because we have sponsors. Everyone needs to get paid and everyone needs to be heard. But hey, who doesn't love an extra bonus episode? So where I left off on Wednesday was the first week of our trip. And now I'm getting into the, I guess one might say the honeymoon phase part 2. So I was on a trip for a week. Tina was there, our friends Steven and Pietro and Massimo and our whole crew from Atlanta that owns property in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. So now Jeff and I were branching off to do a little anniversary trip, if you will. And we decided to drive from Rimini to Florence for a night. And then we were going out into the Tuscan countryside. And then we were going to this very fancy place called Hotel Pelicano in a tiny little beach town called Porto Ercole. And then we were going to Rome and going home. And this is where, when Jeff and I get together and it's Ren and Stimpy, okay? And if you don't know who Ren and Stimpy are, you're not old enough to listen to this podcast. It is literally like Thelma and Louise. I would say Bonnie and Clyde, but not that organized. It's us, just two lovers, two pals, two absolute thirsty, hungry gremlins traveling the world together. So the day that we decided to drive from Emilia-Romagna region into Florence was the day that the Tour de France was going on. I'm going to throw this out there real quick. I didn't know that the Tour de France left France. Did y'all know that? Because I didn't know that. That was eye-opening to me. I said, what the hell are these French people doing on the bicycles in Italy? Turns out, they go all over Europe. Well, that put a little burn in my biscuit because then traffic was backed up. So yet again, another trip that should have taken 2.5 hours took 3.5. But it's okay. I stopped at the Buc-ee's of Italy, an auto grill, and got some Pomodoro flavored chips, some Tartufo flavored chips, and a macchiato. And I was fucking zip-zap-zopping. So here's the thing, too. I don't know if I said this on my Tips About Italy episode of the podcast. People always ask about driving. We feel very comfortable driving in Italy. There are no rules on the road. You are going, if the speed limit says 100, you're going 140. It's like the Autobahn in Germany. You just fucking go for it. Pick a lane. You don't use blinkers. You just fucking go for it. So Jeff and I are skeeting, we're cruising, we're having a great time. We feel very comfortable driving in Italy. We always have. So that's a lot of freedom. If it's your first time going, you may just want to stick with the trains. Listen, the trains are an amazing way to get around, but we like to be able to branch off, go where we want. So anyways, we're skeeting, we're cruising. Beautiful day. And as soon as we cross into Tuscany, you can feel the heat. We get out at the auto grill. It is so thick. It's like that Louisiana heat. It is just, we have left the oceanside and we are in it, and it is thick, and you could cut it with the knife, and it's just, you know what I mean? It's like a casserole of heat just engulfs your body. And I was like, here we go. Oh, yeah, we're going to be sweating in Firenze. Now, if you don't know, you're new to the podcast, I got married right outside of Firenze 2 years ago. So Jeff and I are now on our little, romantic anniversary trip. So we do one night in Firenze. Now, I always go to this place called Papini. It is a leather shop right by the Ponte Vecchio and the right on the Arno. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see my girl Cecilia. I DM them, but I don't get a response. But I'm like, whatever. They're not great with social media. I can't wait. I'm going to show up. I'm going to surprise her, and I'm going to buy a bunch of leather goods. This bitch decided to go on vacation. The Saturday that I was rolling through, telepathically, she should have known I was coming. So we show up. I'm like so excited. I'm power walking to go get my leather goods. I'm gonna buy gifts. I'm literally a gift giver. I'm like, I'm getting everybody a nice wallet. I can see the love and joy in my friends' eyes as I bring them back this beautiful handmade leather good from Italy. It's really about me feeling good about myself. It's not necessarily about anybody feeling like they have a prized possession from Italy, a handcrafted good. No, no, no. This is just absolutely purely to fill up my cup. So we get there. I mean, the grates are closed, locks on the doors. I'm standing outside of Papini going, where are you? And I was devastated. So, naturally, what did I have to do? Because the local vendor wasn't open. My ass had to go to Gucci. So now I'm sweating on my way to Gucci, just absolutely dripping. It was a kind of sweat where you can just feel it running down your back. And here's the thing. I've got this thing on my back. I don't know why am I talking about this? I have this thing on my back and it's growing. And so now when sweat drops down, you can kind of feel it like go over this hump. I have what you call, why am I saying this? Heather, just stop. Just don't. There's no need there's no reason. There's no reason why anybody on YouTube and or listening to this audibly, like there's no reason why anybody needs to know this. Okay, I have this thing that's about the size of currently I'd say a racquetball in my back. Got it checked out. It's like right on my spine. Okay, I'm like the hunchback of Notre Dame, except it's not at the top. It's in the middle of my back. You don't notice it when I'm standing up straight, but if I'm bent over in a bathing suit, you're like, what is that enormous ball in the center of your back? Guess what? Turns out it's just a bunch of fat cells that create like a ball, and I have to get cut open. They have to dig it out, and I'm not talking like Dr. Pimple Popper, although I'm sure she could do it. My boy Dr. Nelson Castillo is like, Heather, you need a plastic surgeon to do this. So they're gonna have to cut me right down the spine, scoop this bad boy out, sew me back up. Now I obviously haven't had time to get this done because if you do it, you're going to be you're sleeping on your tummy for a couple weeks. And I'm worried about scarring. And I mean, Dr. Nelson's the best. But also, too, it's summertime. The back is loose. The traps are getting some rays. So I haven't had time to do this. Again, you did not need to know absolutely any of this personal medical information, but I'm just sharing it with you to know that's how sweaty I was in Firenze, that I could feel the moment that the sweat was dripping down, went over the hump in my back, and then went down my ass crack. That's how hot it was. Like I could feel it. Like now there's a delayed, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the drippage when it goes over this hump. And again, if you were to stare at me, you would not notice it. If I bend over, you're like, there's a tennis ball in the middle of your back. So apparently they are, hereditary. And I got them from my fat father. What's up, Dad? Miss ya, buddy. Okay. So anyways, we go to Gucci. And let me tell you something. I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you ever want to do some like designer shopping, do it in Europe, baby. You get that VAT tax. You're saving hundreds of dollars. Jeff gets a pair of pistachio suede shoes. He thinks he's Rico fucking Suave. Like he's bebopping through the cobblestone streets like a new man with some pep in his step. And I'll tell you this right now. Jeff has very nice style, expensive taste, and there's nothing hotter to me than a man in a Gucci loafer hitting the cobblestone streets. And I know he's about to take me to a romantic dinner with a nice bottle of Barolo and a thick, chunky ragu. Okay, that is my love language. Also, side note, if another woman DMs me that you want Jeff to shave his beard, I will. I feel like I've gotten very threatening recently, but stop. Please stop. Okay? I don't message y'all and say, your husband Mark has a lazy eye. Jeff, he has a Wolverine beard. Let him be. He looks so handsome with it to me. You're not having sex with him. Also, the second thing when y'all meet Jeff, the first thing you do is you go, wow, he's so tall. He's like 6'2", 6'3", okay? You're always like, he's so handsome in person. Yes. Do you think I have bad taste? I don't. If you saw the people I dated in college, you would literally get physically ill. Jeff's the best. But God, when we're on vacation and I, put Jeff up on the stories a lot, Jeff should shave his beard. Why? So you can sit on his cleanly shaven face, Marie? No. Leave it alone. So anyways, that night we decided to go to Perione, which is one of our favorite restaurants. We love the whole squad. Marco is this larger than life, like Italian guy who also lived in the States, and he's an actor and he runs the front door. He is the maitre d', and then you've got our all of our friends that work in the restaurant. And I realize at this moment, this is supposed to be a romantic night. I realize at this moment I have said too much. I have shared too much, and oh God, I have to tread lightly on this one. We get sat in the wine cellar, and if you ever go to Perione, that's my favorite place to sit. It's down in the wine cellar. It's cool. It's romantic. It's whatever. Obviously, there are a lot of people down in this tiny little wine cellar that's no bigger than the desk I'm sitting at. Maybe you can seat 10 people down there. There's a lot of people who are down there because I recommended it. I love that. I love running into people. Nothing brings me more joy than meeting people out on vacation. However, everything was going great. I met this beautiful bride who we had mutual friends. She gave me this gorgeous kind of like gold and pearl cigarette holder, so it made it very classy. It was like a ring, and it had a little stick on it that was made out of gold with a pearl in the middle, and then you put your cigarette in the middle, and so you can classily, just smoke your cigarette, not make your hands smell. I was like, this is amazing. She had just gotten married in Mallorca. She's on her honeymoon. Met another table of fabulous people. Everyone's having a cheers, having a glass of wine, and then Jeff and I are just able to catch up with our friends who run this restaurant and hang. And then this girl comes in. She goes to went to Ole Miss, worked, in consulting. And the moment I heard her ass hit that seat, it was just, I knew we were in for trouble. Like I said, so genuinely love meeting people. But this bitch must have been on cocaine. At one point, Jeff gets up to go to the ATM down the street because he wants to get some cash to tip our friends here at Perione. And this girl is talking to me, and I turn around. I'm enjoying the conversation with she and her friend. But at some point, it's a lot. This girl is speedballing off of her face. I don't know if she did a bump of meth in the bathroom, and it takes a lot for me to be a. It takes a lot for me to be a cunt. And I finally just go, "Are you on cocaine? Because you got to calm the fuck down." I said, "I don't know what you're on, but you got to not be on what you're on because you can't handle what you're on." And her friend grabbed my hand and just goes, "Thank you. No one's ever said." I said, "But are you on anything?" She's like, "No, this is just me. This is just me, unmedicated. This is just me doing me. This is me. This is me." So I went to Ole Miss, and I was just like, this is it. I can't do it. And I think I was kind of a bitch for a second. And I felt bad. And my husband came back and he was like, "Why does the energy shift feel weird in this restaurant?" I was like, "Because I just told this girl she's got to get off cocaine because it's too fucking much." 3 minutes later, she's outside, I guess, smoking a cigarette. And the staff comes in. They're like, "Heather, why did you send this woman here? We can't handle it. She's asleep outside." I don't know how somebody goes from full cocaine to just fully asleep. I mean, when I studied abroad, my friend Mary would give me an Adderall. I talked to you about taking a disco nap in the previous episode on Wednesday. She used to give me like a extended release Adderall. I would take it. We would come back from class around 4. I would take an extended release Adderall. I'd sleep for about 3.5 hours because I was so hungover from the night before. And then I'd wake up buzzing to go, and I would party till about 4 a.m. that night. All right. I'm the only person who could take an Adderall and then take a 3.5 hour slumber. But a disco nap, you take a shot of espresso, you lay down for 30 minutes, you wake up, and you're ready to go. It's like the best way to get your body re-energized while also getting a little shut-eye and resting the mind. So the waitstaff's like, somehow she's asleep. We don't understand how, but she's asleep. Y'all gotta go. Her friend's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, listen, no big deal. But and she wasn't on anything. She was not on anything. I think she was just high on life. Then I'm like feeling self-conscious, like, was I being a buzzkill that this girl's just having a great time? But if you didn't know, you would have thought there was some sort of methamphetamine involved. And maybe she just couldn't hold her alcohol. It is what it is. But I kind of had that moment where I looked at Jeff and I go, I don't know if we've ruined our favorite place for ourselves. Like, I don't know. We go upstairs in the restaurant. There's people up there. Oh my God. Hey, we went to Alabama. Hey, I went to USC. I follow you. Listen to the podcast. I'm like, hell yeah. Tiramisu, bitch. Limoncello for everybody. This brings me so much joy. But I'm like, I don't know if we have to start keeping a lower profile. I'm not saying this because I am important. I am not saying that because I am famous. I am just saying this because I share every bit about my life. And I don't think, like, y'all, I will be pregnant, having the baby crowned, and I'll be live streaming it just because I don't want to feel alone. And I was like, we might have to not say anything anymore so that we can enjoy a dinner. And I don't mean for anybody else who came up. See, I already feel like an asshole. This just feels so fucking pretentious. But it was like one bad egg. And I said this earlier, like one bad egg. One bad person at a resort can fucking ruin it for everybody. If you're at breakfast and you hear some woman screaming at her kids at breakfast, you're like, oh, Jesus, here we go. Okay, buckle up. Andiamo. So Jeff's like, shit, we're just going to, when we come to Florence, just go low key. Don't tell anybody because everyone knows you're going to be at this restaurant. I was like, yeah. And it's funny. I've said this before, but people get really weirded out when they see me at places that I talk about. I'm like, I'm not a gatekeeper. If I say that I like this specific Chick-fil-A, I'm probably going to be there every Monday because they're closed on Sunday. I like what I like. I go to the places that I like. But after having to turn to this young woman, and I was so excited to see a Southerner. I really was. I was very excited to see a Southerner. But when I had to turn to this young woman who's an Ole Miss alumni and be like, you need to take it down several notches. I was like, okay. The night's been soured a bit. But anyways, so we leave the next day. I didn't get my leather goods. I had to ask somebody if they were on cocaine. But, okay. Actually, that night, we ended up going out with our entire crew from the restaurant. Like, these guys came to my wedding. I just love them. We ended up at a nightclub. That's about a 20-minute walk back to our hotel from the middle of town. It's fucking great. I'm wearing these new Zara shoes, right? Little red patent leather kitten heels. I look at Jeff. We're wrapping up the night. It's like 3 a.m. I'm like, let's just walk home. I know exactly where we are. It's a 15-minute walk. Like, I need the exercise. We get about 10 minutes into this walk, and I realize, I'm not even that drunk. I realize that exactly where the strap on the kitten heel is hitting the top of my toes, it is raw dogged. I don't know how I did not feel the blister starting to form. When I say there is a hole in my foot right now, the size of a Werther's butterscotch. If you were to take it out of the wrapper and put it on the top of my foot, right where that strap of that kitten heel hit, it is disgusting. So at one point, Jeff just looks down and he goes, you're bleeding profusely. Blood just everywhere. But I kind of didn't notice it. I was like, oh, these shoes are kind of uncomfortable. But again, I feel like my sense of pain is completely skewed ever since my ovary exploded. So I'm like, it's whatever. I'm getting a blister. I'll be fine. I can tough it out. And Jeff looks down. He's like, there's blood everywhere. So for the next week, I can't wear anything but a loose a thong sandal because I have an open wound. It was so bad. Jeff's like, I don't know if we need to go to like a doctor. Like this is wound care at this point. I'm like, fine, we're going to tough it out. I got some Neospore and I'm pretty sure that doesn't do shit. We're going to be fine. We slap a Band-Aid on that bitch. We keep going. So then the next day we head to this magical place out in the countryside of Tuscany. Now, just to put something in reference for you guys, When people say they're in Tuscany, it means the region. It means like saying you're in the Southeast. And Atlanta is the capital of the Southeast, right? I personally think that. So if you're like, hey, we're in Florence, but we're going to Tuscany, that doesn't make sense because you're technically in the Tuscan region. I hear Americans say this a lot. So if you're going to the countryside, you just say, hey, we're going out to the country. We're going to Chianti. We're going to Siena. We're going out to Montepulciano, like another region. But you can't say, hey, we're going out to Tuscany because you're in Tuscany, right? That would be like if I were to say, hey, I'm in Atlanta, but I'm going out to the South. Like you're in the South. Okay, you guys get it. You're not stupid. So anyways, I'm raw dogging it in the car the next day. I got my, Pomodoro chips. I've got my tartufo. I'm surprisingly hungover because then I started to drink heavily and smoke cigs after I asked the woman if she was on cocaine, and I felt bad about it because I'm non-confrontational, but I stood up for myself, which is a hard thing for me to do. So I'm really going through a lot of emotions. I have an open wound on my foot. I'm just like, you know what? Jeff, we had the best time, but the 24 hours in Florence was also like a mixed bag of emotions. I couldn't get my leather goods to give to my friends so they'd like me more. You know what I mean? I was really going through it. So we decided to go out to the countryside to this place. If you get a chance to go, this was magical. Everything about this place was fucking unreal. It's called Castello di Vicarello. It was a villa that the story that I was told, and I don't want to butcher the history of this place, but there were two, basically, like a Castello's like is kind of what like a king would live in. So it's a villa, but it's like royalty, where royalty would live. So there was two family members, they hated each other, so they were fighting for these two Castellos, and I guess Mr. Vicarello he kept this one. But to get there, we're driving. It's beautiful. We're driving through the countryside of Tuscany. Everything's magical. And then we just end up on this dirt road. And when I say, like, and the hotel had sent us specific directions. They're like, if you take a wrong turn by a cow, you'll lose cell phone service. You'll have no fucking idea where we are. We're going down a gravel road on the side of a cliff. And Jeff, of course, is like, I don't think you know what you're doing. Why did you pick this place? Where the fuck are we going? He does this. He questions every choice I make. And then we show up and it's always perfection. So I'm like, shut the fuck up. Let me live. Have I ever led you wrong? And like, have I ever picked not a perfect place? You're a brat. Like, you know what I mean? We're just... He's driving like Mario Andretti. Asshole is clenched. This Volvo that we've rented is about to go over the side of a fucking cliff. And then we arrive at this place. We are down a dirt road. I'm not exaggerating. 9.5 minutes. Blind curve. There's signs everywhere that say danger, good luck, sayonara. We'll see you later. We come around to this beautiful gate, we press the button, and when I say we showed up to one of the most magical places I have ever seen, it was expensive for, it's high season right now, but I'm telling you, if you went to this place in the fall and you hung out in the heated pool and you took a cooking class and drank their wine and enjoyed the grounds, go. Put this on your bucket list of places to go. It was insane. We show up and Jeff's like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been. And I was like, suck my dick. I'm a tastemaker. Listen to me. I've never led you astray. Now, again, we have just spent a week with our like real Italian friends where we haven't been around Americans and we're slowly transitioning into everybody is going to be from America. And again, that's fine, but we're on vacation. We like to dick around, get in with the locals, eat at the mom and pop spot. Like, that's just our vibe. But we're only at this place for one night. And let me describe how magical it is, right? It's like everything is perfect cobblestone. There's amazing garden. You're in a gorgeous infinity pool that is made out of Carrara marble. I don't know how the fuck anybody got anything up to this Castello. I don't understand how they architecturally did it. I don't know how it was built in the first place. Even that this is an established like Travel and Leisure is one of their favorite resorts. I don't know how they built a full marble pool. I don't know how the trucks got up there. It doesn't make sense to me. It defies the laws of gravity, of time and space, but you got there and it was magical. They had this dog. It is a golden retriever. Her name's Uva, which means grape in Italian. And she's just like running the fucking show. And she comes up to you while you're eating dinner, overlooking like, you know, these vineyards, and you can see the ocean in the background all the way to the sea. And I was just like, this is fucking magical. There's a Finnish couple next to us who we end up chatting with them because, you know, they just want to speak English. They're like, oh my God, you know, my husband plays hockey. We're from Finland, and my husband plays hockey. We're moving to Utah. Tell us about Utah. So I'm telling this Finnish a hockey player, like, listen, the Mormons are going to try and get you. And I'm like 2 bottles of homegrown Castello di Vicarello Barolo. I'm 2 bottles in. It's organic. It's biodynamic. I know if I drink 6 bottles, I'm not going to have a headache. I'm talking to the most stunning Finnish woman I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is just a power hockey couple from Scandinavia. You know what I mean? Just like you've never seen somebody this attractive. So we're chit-chatting. I'm like, listen, guys, watch out. And I love the Mormons. I love that anybody who's convicted, but I just said they're going to get you. You know, if you're not Mormon now, you got to tell them, oh, you Catholic? Okay. Just let them know, thank you so much, saved in the blood. I'm on my own mission. And my mission right now is I'm at a Whole Foods in Salt Lake, and I just want to get my groceries. And they're like, you know, thank you so much for all of the information, you know. And then we like split 8 bottles of wine, and we have a beautiful night. We get up the next day and we drive another hour and a half to Porto Ercole, which is kind of like, it's almost like a little peninsula. And it's an hour and a half. It's on the Tuscan seaside. So you're technically still in Tuscany. And we go to this hotel. And it's called Pelicano. Y'all, I used every Amex point that I have. I cashed them all in. I said, fuck it. You know, live, laugh, love. I don't know when we're going to be able to come to Pelicano for a while. I used the Amex points. I said, let's go. You know what I mean? Can I be honest with you? I don't understand what the points are for if you don't spend them. And I have some friends that accumulate a lot of the points and then they don't use the points. And then they'll tell you like that credit card point is not a good, you know, it doesn't equal what it should. It's like, okay, if you've got 10,000, this place is 100,000 points for the night, and that actually equals to, you know, $2,000. That's not a good, you know, what am I trying to say? That's not a good redemption. Sorry, that's not a good redemption of your points. I don't care. Okay, I've probably gotten fucked. None of the points make sense. Brian Kelly's a dear friend of mine. He is the points guy. And I tell him, I'm like, is this a good use of your points? He's like, no. I'm like, well, I booked it. Okay, I don't know what you want me to do. Anyway, so we show up at Pelicano. Now, I have stayed at one of their sister properties. If you ever get the chance to go to Ischia, it's my favorite place in the world. Stay at Mezzatorre. Use all your Amex points. Just cash out. It's magical. So I love this hotel brand. So I already know I'm going to love Pelicano. It's like iconic. You know, a lot of celebs go there, a lot of people in the know. And we show up, we have a beautiful room, we have a beautiful lunch when we get there. Everything's perfection. The hotel itself, perfection. There is not a single thing wrong with this place. From the moment you get up to the way that they fold your sheets down at turn down service, to the snacks in the room, to the crisp glass bottle of Coke Zero that's in your fridge. Like everything is perfection. And we show up and I immediately am like, okay, all right, this is some rich bitches. They did not use their credit card points. They paid cash, but I used my points. So we show up and we sit down at lunch and I notice immediately, it's like you've got a Dior bucket hat on with a Dior bag, with Dior glasses, with a Dior swimsuit cover up, with 65 David Yurman jewelry, you know, bangle bracelets with this. Everything is riche. It is chic. And I'm there. You know, I got my bucket hat on. I got my show me your moo fabulous outfit on. I've got a shirt that's got, you know, I'm wearing my Limoncello t-shirt today, but I've got a crocheted little bathing suit top. I'm feeling fantastic. But nothing on me is, you know, over $200 an item. That's the way I live, laugh, love, you know? Yeah, I got Gucci sunglasses on, but whatever. I bought those for my birthday. And it hits us immediately. We're at lunch. And this couple behind us is from LA. They won't shut the fuck up. the people behind Jeff are from Long Island, and then they start talking to the table next to them. I love vacation friends. You know, when we go on this cruise in April, everybody's going to be invited to my house immediately after. Like, I get so fucking jazzed for vacation friends. But Jeff is so funny. As a New Yorker, he really cannot, he gets so angry, so temperamental at dealing with other New Yorkers on vacation. It's like he's the only one from the tri-state area who's allowed to like enjoy himself. But it was funny because it's like, again, I can call out my people. If you're a Southerner and we're at a resort and you're, yelling across the restaurant like, Garcon, hey, can I get some mayonnaise? I'm going to go up to your table and be like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Do not embarrass us here. You know what I mean? We are in a different country. They are already judging us. Shut the fuck up. I'm allowed to do that. This lady at the table next to us is talking to a table next to her, and she's like, what school do your kids go to? Oh, yeah, my kids are going to Connecticut Country Day. It took us forever to get them in there. Where do we live? Upper East Side. She's just dripping in Dior. You know what I mean? The cell phone covers Dior. Like, that's the kind of shit we're dealing with. And Jeff is just choking down his spaghetti vongole, just like, I'm going to kill this woman. And I said, take a breather. The people from L.A. behind us are just yep, and everybody's got money, yep. And I'm like, let's just enjoy ourselves. Let's go to the beach. Well, the next day, you know what I mean? This woman is dripping in diamonds. And I'm sure she's a bad bitch. There's no doubt in my mind that the people from New York aren't bad bitches. I'm sure they're bad bitches. But when you put them all together and we're all just packed into lawn chairs that overlook a cliff into the ocean, there were moments where I was like, can I hit myself in the head with a rock just to end it all? And my body would very dramatically and ceremoniously just kind of like float out to the ocean. And that's where that's where you leave me. But it was just a pissing match. Like, all the New York people had found their vacation friends, and every day they're like, so hey. So I called Miranda. She told me you guys have a house in Bridgehampton. I thought it was East Hampton. That's a 20-minute drive. Where do you want to meet? I mean, when we get back, do we meet at St. Ambrose in East Hampton? I mean, you guys could come to us, but Bridgehampton's another 20 minutes. And Jeff's like losing his shit. But again, everybody can afford to be there. You know what I mean? These are rich New York bitches. But we're just laughing to ourselves. We're like, all right, there's a mixture of celebrities, and I respected everybody's privacy, you know what I mean? But was I creeping? 100%. So we're in the spot. Then, so I go for a swim. Jeff and I go for a swim. You have to realize it's not a beach. It's, it's all rocky. So you have to literally use a ladder to get into the ocean. It's ice cold, but it feels amazing. And we're kind of balancing. It's a little bit low tide, and we're kind of balancing on this one rock before we start to swim out. I grab Jeff's hand as he's getting in, and his wedding ring just slips off his finger. Just like I go to grab his hand, and he just goes, babe, as like I'm falling off a rock trying to catch my balance. The ring is gone. I immediately am like, oh God, okay. So we dive down. I grab some snorkels from the Cabana boys. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Here's the thing. Anything can be replaced. In the moment, I was pretty devastated, only because the ring that Jeff and I wear, this gold ring that I've worn forever, my mom and dad originally bought matching rings to, commemorate their love and to celebrate their love. That my mom didn't have a diamond for a long time. Like this was this beautiful handmade gold ring that they bought in Bell Harbor in Miami Beach. It means the world to me. So Jeff wore my dad's. This wasn't the last ring my dad had. My dad, before he passed, upgraded his ring and had this like beautiful thing. But either way, it's just like, and Jeff loved the ring. So he immediately is distraught. But I'm, of course, like, it's fine. Everything's fine. We're okay. No problems. We're in paradise. We used all of our American Express points to be here. All the New Yorkers have so much money here. So when I get out and this one guy's like, hey, it looks like you're looking for something. What'd you lose? I was like, we lost a wedding ring. He's like, oh my God, a diamond. I was like, no, it was actually my husband's band, but he's like, oh, okay, like not a big deal. And I'm like, yeah, but it was my dead dad's. And then I'm having to stand there soaking wet. I'm sure I have a camel toe. I'm already got a little bit of a sea rash from the eczema flare up. And I'm standing there with snorkels on that just made me look like an absolute asshole. And I'm like, can somebody jump in the water and help me find my dead dad's gold ring? Like I looked like one of those kids who's been, looking for those glow in the dark sticks that you throw in the pool. Like I literally came out of the water with the snorkel gear still suction to my face. I'm like, can somebody help us? This great guy Andrew, who's from New York, but young, our age, young guy from New York, gets in the water. He's like, I'm going to help you find it. This girl, Megan, who also lives down in the West Village, like the people who were from New York who were our age were fucking bawling. Like we had vacation friends. It was the older generation out. Where your kids go to school? Rye Country Day. Like everyone was like, shut the fuck up. Okay, just shut the fuck up. So people get in the water, they try and help us find it. But when I say it's like rocks on rocks on rocks, there was no like sandy bottom. I mean, and y'all were so sweet. You were DMing me, Heather, get a metal detector. Da 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 da. Y'all, there was no beach. There was no way that anything was going to wash ashore. This ring has fallen deep down to the deep depths under 65 rocks, and we tried. And I was bummed. I ended up getting pretty drunk. Everybody bought us drinks because they were like, oh, that's a bummer. And it's embarrassing when you're like, it was my dad and he's dead. It's a family heirloom. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't then want to go into that whole story. And then people are like, how'd your dad die? And I'm sitting with a mark almost that looks like a sunburn from the snorkel. And I'm sitting by the beach looking out to the ocean. And I'm having to explain to my new cool friends from the West Village and Tribeca, who are very rich. I'm having to just explain to them that my dad died of pancreatic cancer. And I've got my little straw and my Aperol spritz. And I'm just like, just wolfing them the fuck down. So I end up getting pretty drunk. And then now it's like 7 p.m. And we realize it's 7:45, dinner's at 8. All right. So I have to then walk through up, like there was like a seaside grill where everybody again is in their Mazzoni outfits. They've got their full Prada on. Everyone's a celebrity. Everyone's stunning. And I walked through hammered in my muumuu crocheted outfit, which is now one titty's out. You know what I mean? One titty's out. Tampon string is loose. I just look like a mess. And I'm walking through and I'm like, I lost my dead dad's ring. Well, it was technically my husband wore it, but it slipped off his finger. Like, you know what I mean? Just a mess. But I go upstairs, I slick my hair back, I put on a dress, and I'm like, we're going to fucking dinner. Now I'm going to eat my feelings. I already drank my feelings. Now I'm going to eat my feelings. So we're sitting at dinner. Of course, the next couple next to us is from New York. They're young. They're lovely. And I'm just hammered. And I'm like, where are you guys from? You're pretty. Are you guys you're on your honeymoon? Yeah, we got married two years ago. And Jeff's like, wow. And when I drink, it really doesn't change my personality. My friends could say otherwise, but I kind of just become a little more tired version of myself, a little goofier, or like maybe cry every like 9 months. The emotional pendulum doesn't really swing very far when I drink. I'm just like kind of get sleepy. So at this point, I'm chit-chatting with the sommelier who's like, you probably don't need any more. And I'm just like, did you know my dad died of cancer? And these people are on their honeymoon. They're trying to enjoy it. I'm grilling them. I'm like, let me set up your entire vacation. So when you go to Florence, you're going to go to this place called Trattoria Parione. It's my favorite place. You're going to sit in the wine cellar. And Jeff's like, shut the fuck up. You're emotionally not stable enough to be having this conversation. So but listen, there's nothing two espresso shots can't fix. We end up smoking cigars with our friends afterwards. It's a lovely trip. What else could we do? So the next day we get up, we have a full day, and I'm like, I'm going to find this ring. I'm snorkeling for hours. Jeff's helping me. He's snorkeling, but we don't know, the tide's taking it out. It's probably under the rocks, but I figure when it's low tide, I could kind of float on the surface and I'd be able to have better visibility. The problem is, though, boats were going by, so it's getting choppy. It's getting rocky. My body, my tits are literally like on top of a rock that's covered in moss, so I'm slipping and sliding. I basically looked like at one point I was on like a Pilates reformer on my stomach, and I'm just holding on. Like my nails were like embedded in moss while I'm just getting jostled back and forth trying to look for this ring. And every time I get out of the water, somebody be like, did you find it? And I'm like, sure didn't, Carl. It's okay. can't bring my dad back. Now everyone feels sorry for me. Yeah, Jeff, at one point, we would like take rotations, right? Jeff's just like sitting in his lawn chair, just being like, everybody here above the age of 40 from New York needs to shut the fuck up. Like that's where we were at mentally, you know? Anybody 40 and below, fun, fun, fun. 40 and up from the tri-state area needed to shut the fuck up. So, you know, listen, it is what it is. I'm not really connected to materialistic things. I think what triggered me the most about it was that it's a finality to it. It's the ring is gone because it's a connection to my dad, and we're coming up on 10 years since my dad passed, and I've been a lot more emotional about it than I usually am. I cried a couple times on the trip in Italy just because I really think it came from, wow, I feel so blessed. I'm getting to do all these cool things and have all these cool experiences and go to these fun places. And my dad was such a world traveler and adventurer, and I just know he would love it. Like whenever I traveled, even in college, like especially when I studied abroad, I'd call my dad like every day and be like, Dad, you're never gonna believe what I did last night, or I'm so hungover. Can you put more money in my account? Like, I just had a very sweet relationship with my dad. So I think what was emotional for me is every little step, every little year, every little minute, every little moment is another minute that takes me further away from my father and his memory and photos of us and etc. So and then I realized I started a heavy fucking period. Okay. I haven't had a period in like a minute. And so I now realize where a lot of these emotions are coming from. And I just felt I was sitting at this nice resort around all these obnoxious people. And I was like, man, my dad would be so proud that I could, do this on my own. Because 10 years ago, I could never, Best Western was living fucking large. So I just also, Jeff always kind of reminds me, is like, I know your dad would just be so proud of like what you've done and what you built. Sorry, this is emo. Y'all do not need to know this backstory. I've already told you that I have a fucking hump that needs to be medically removed in my back. And now I'm telling you I started my period and I'm sad about my dad. Okay. So anyways, though, the next night, we have a lovely dinner. We get off campus, if you will, and we go to this great place. Our buddy Pietro, again, one of the owners in Yeppa and Storico Fresco, he sends us to this great little spot. It's only Italians there. We have this gorgeous dinner. They treat us. They're like, you have no bill. Pietro paid for it. I'm like, this is so kind. It was just like a really nice reprieve from doing like the bougie American shit. So we get back to the hotel. I hadn't even really drank anything that much that night, and I just lost it. I'm like, I'm not crying like this. Jeff's like, are you good? And I have these breakdowns about kind of like clockwork every 8 to 9 months. And I just was weeping to Jeff. I said, Jeff, I don't feel like my dad sent me a sign in a long time. I feel like 10 years is coming up. It's our 2-year wedding anniversary. My dad wasn't at my wedding. I feel sorry for me. I miss my dad. And Jeff was like, he's going to send you a sign. Y'all, my hand to God, my hand on my dead father, my hand on the Holy Father. I'm not making this up. This is not fodder for views, likes. This really fucking happened. So that night, I'm hysterically crying. Daddy sent me a sign, literally going, Kyle, are you there? As I'm hysterically crying and chugging a Coke Zero, because in Italy it hits different. The next morning we go to breakfast. And here's one thing you do need to know. Italians are not known for breakfast. Like real Italians just have a pastry. But when you stay at these hotels, they really know how to cater to Americans. So I've got my slab of prosciutto. I've got my gorgeous orange eggs because they're fresh from the farm. I got my cappuccino. I'm living large. My dad has always come back and visited me as a yellow jacket or a bumblebee. Heather, what is the significance? Significance is my dad went to Georgia Tech. He was a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. That's what they call themselves. My dad had club seats at every Georgia Tech game, and their mascot is a yellow jacket. So even on my wedding day, I had bumblebees on my bouquet. There were bees everywhere. They didn't bother anybody. Like, it's just always been this thing. 3 weeks after my dad died, I got stung by a bee, and I'd asked my dad for a sign. Sure as shit, it takes a lot to get Jeff, like, moved emotionally. Actually, that's a lie. He cries all the time. But regardless, we're sitting at breakfast, and this yellow jacket, specifically, not a bumblebee, a yellow jacket, lands on my plate. I have pastries galore. I've got, little donuts. I've got a cornetto stuffed with, amazing cream. Like this would be this is a sweet treat spread. And this yellow jacket comes and lands on my eggs. And I'm like, oh my God, Jeff, look, it's a yellow jacket. And he's like, what? You asked your dad for a sign. And I was like, maybe it's my dad. Now, yellow jacket, not bothering anybody else's table, not bothering anybody else. It's just me. And I'm like, well, let's see. I don't know. It could be a coincidence. And he just sits on my plate. Sits on my plate. 3-4 minutes go by. He just sits on my plate. He flies off. And Jeff goes, you know what I think's weird? He's not going for the fruit, any of the sweet treats, which is what they'd usually gravitate towards. He said, if he comes back and starts eating some egg, you know it's your dad. The joke was when my dad was still alive, he would wake my husband up in the middle of the night because my dad would smoke weed. He'd wake Jeff up in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m. Be like, yo, you want to go to Waffle House? If you saw my special, you know how important Waffle House was to us. Like my dad loved Waffle House. So this fucking yellow jacket comes back. It picks up a chunk of egg and takes off, takes flight with the chunk of egg. And Jeff, I look over at him and he goes, holy shit, and just starts sobbing at the breakfast table. Now I am sobbing at the breakfast table. We're like, that was dead. And then these people next to us who have been insufferable the whole trip are like, are you guys good? And I'm like, my dad just came back. My dad just came back and sent me a sign. And she's like, what's the sign? And I'm like, this is when you stop. You just go, we're great. Just, having a moment. So beautiful. Italy. This is when you don't share. You just lock it up. I'm like, my dad comes back as a yellow jacket and he just took a big chunk of egg. This woman's like, I don't believe any of this. You two seem like you're on fucking LSD, kids these days. Meanwhile, she has, and I swear to God, 2 Pomeranians in a baby stroller sitting at her table. That's the level of Connecticut, Bergen County, Jersey I was dealing with, all right? That level of wealth. They probably flew the Pomeranians over on their private jet, and now they're sitting here and I paid with points, okay? That's where we're at. So I'm like, this is so obviously a sign from my dad. And I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, I do think the universe sends you signs, obviously, when you need it. Or my dad just was like, his spirit or God told him, was like, she's unwell. You need to send her a message. I do feel like in a way that it was my dad being like, let the ring go. I'm here. I'm always with you. I'm still a fat ass. I still love eggs. I'm live, laugh, loving. Like, do your thing. It really did take me like a solid kind of hour to be like, it hit you in the face. It literally slapped me in the face. The yellow jacket takes the egg, and then he comes back and he just sits on my plate. Sits on my plate. Even the waiter came by and was like, oh, and I was like, no, don't touch him. He's good. And I finished my coffee, and it was a very sweet moment, just being like, it's a ring. Let it go. But I decided to have one last swim because we're leaving that day, and I go down to the beach, and, I'm cramping pretty hard because of the period, and I just ate a full fucking Italian spread, and I'm in the water with my snorkels on. I'm like, okay, if my dad sent me a sign, then clearly I'm going to find the ring today. I didn't find the ring, but I had about 5 minutes left till I had to, go upstairs, shower, pack till we had to leave and be out of our room. And this woman floats by on a float, thin woman, already fucking hate her. And she's like, what are you looking for? And I realize she's a New Yorker who lives in Miami. Y'all know, the worst kind. And I said, I'm snorkeling. I lost my wedding ring. I just said mine. I didn't want to have to explain it. And she just said, without being like, oh my God, oh no, she just says, oh, are there fish down there? Do you see fish? Her husband clocks the fact that I said, I've just lost my wedding ring. And he just goes, oh, Jesus, okay. And I'm like, yeah, there's fish. We're in the ocean, bitch. And I swim off, and I'm like, I don't even give a fuck anymore. And also, I have to say, shout out to my girl from Boston. There was a lovely woman. I believe her name was actually Cecilia too. Hold on, let me look her up real quick. Casa Yes. Let's see. Cecilia Casagrande. She's a Boston-based interior designer. She was my vacation friend. She's fantastic. Uh, she saw me as I was leaving. I was like, "We got to catch up when I'm back in Boston." And she was like, "I heard what that girl said to you. Insufferable." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, you get it." So, anyways, I had this moment that I just had to leave that. My dad was like, "It's fine. It's a ring. Let it go." And it's not Jeff's fault. It was my fault because I grabbed his hand and it slipped off. But regardless, it was a very sweet moment. So while I was laughing about all the fucking crazy, the woman with the Pomeranians in the stroller, I'll tell you right now, I love my dogs. As they age, I probably will also have a stroller with two, overweight French bulldogs in them. But then you can tell me I'm a cunt. But it was just, it was one of those. It was one of those. And I said, Jeff, you're allowed to say whatever you want. These are your people. And when we go to the next spot, and if I hear a Southern accent and someone's acting a fool, that will be my chance to tap in. Like, I got this. And listen, I want people to have a good time. I'm not saying don't have a good time. I'm not trying to be the judgy cunt on vacation. It's just when you're yelling across the pool, asking, what's the proximity to St. Ambrose of your house in the Hamptons? We're like, we get it. Everybody's got money. We get it. So then we go and we do a night in Rome. And we get to Il Falcetto, our other favorite place, and we sat down. Y'all, as soon as we got to Il Falcetto, there was a man across from me that had a hottie toddy Ole Miss shirt on. There was another couple from Oklahoma. The people behind us were from Birmingham, and the table behind us, y'all, I met this guy, Gary Lee, who's the Grand Marshal of Mobile Mardi Gras, and we all sit down, and I've never been so happy in my life. Again, another restaurant that I've like, everybody, this is where I go. I show up on the patio and people go, and I'm like, I'm here. This is my spot. I'm not lying. I love these places. So I see my dear friends who own Falcetto, Valentino, who's our usual server. He's a doll baby. We're having a lovely time. And it's so nice to meet everybody. But we meet this fabulous couple. Their last names are the Couches, Tommy and I think Tammy. Tiff and Tommy. Couch, and he owns a gospel record company out of Jackson, Mississippi, and they're going big time. They're touring all over Italy, so I'm giving him the hot spots. He's got an Ole Miss shirt on, and I'm like, Tommy, you know better than to wear a golf shirt in Italy. Come on now. Where's the linen shirt? Like, get your shit together. But we're having a laugh, and I get invited to hang out with the Grand Marshal of Mobile for Mardi Gras. So Mobile, if I can make that work, my ass will be there. And we just had, it was such a nice cherry on top to an epic trip. I got to eat my amatriciana, which was fucking phenomenal. And we had a gorgeous bottle of Barolo 2013. I mean, it couldn't have been better. I did start to feel the chest pains and or the stomach pains right after dinner because I realized I had overindulged. But it was just, it was the best. And we saw so many wonderful people. And, I sat on that porch at Falcetto and had a nice after dinner drink with our friends. And it was a really sweet ending to the trip. And if you've never done Rome before, I love Rome. Every time I go back, I fall more in love with it. Also, want to give a big shout out to Chef Katie Parla. If you're listening to this and you have any plans of traveling to Italy anytime soon, check out her website. She is incredible. She's written a bunch of books. She's a tastemaker, but she, while we were at one of our favorite pizza places, that she had recommended, she was walking by doing a food tour. So I just want to give a shout out to Chef Katie Parla. If you're going to Rome anytime soon, sign up for one of her food tours. She is fucking legit and awesome. And it's just she's a great guide to Rome and other places in Italy. So big shout out to her. But we had such a fucking good time. And y'all, I didn't go to the outlets. I know you're thinking, check her pulse, is she well? I said at one point to Jeff, I said, I feel so emotionally fulfilled of, what we've been doing. I'm like, I don't need shit. Also, you spent too much money in Gucci yesterday, Jeff. He was like, wow, real mature of you to not want to go to the outlets. I'm like, I don't need anything. I know I'm going to immediately regret it, but We didn't go to the outlets. Here I am. Here I am, a mature woman. I also knew that I had no credit card points left because I was spending them all at the next place. So I just knew we needed to, pull the reins back. Okay, enough about me. That's the chef's kiss on the trip. But let me get to, we have a couple of voicemails that I wanted to get to. Oh, this is a nice long episode. Okay, let me get to these voicemails real quick. And as always, you can call in 800-213-7503. If I met you on vacation, if we shared a limoncello after dinner, I want you to know it made my day. It made my week. I love seeing people venture out, try new shit, and go to places that we love. And also, there's one lady who might be on cocaine at every restaurant. But other than that, we have a fucking blast. All right, let's get to the voicemails. Hold on. Let me play this. No, cancel. Okay.
Hey Heather, this is Kelsey. I'm calling from Portland, Oregon, and I haven't absolutely not. Just reflecting on something that I think about probably monthly is I'm from a tiny town in eastern Kentucky, graduated with 19 people, like middle of nowhere type shit. And in our town, we had an exchange student from Italy. And honestly, I think about this monthly, what it was like for her coming from a gorgeous, lovely, luxurious country like Italy and moving to absolute bumfuck Kentucky and like partying in barns and going to Walmart for fun, because that's truly what we did. So anyway, I thought you'd enjoy that. Love seeing all of your posts on Insta, and so excited for the cruise in April. See you there.
Oh, girl, I love hearing that sweet Southern voice. Okay, let's just imagine the study abroad exchange student who came. I mean, Eastern Kentucky I love Kentucky. It's one of my favorite places. But Eastern Kentucky is a very, very specific area. And talk about the meth capital of the world right there, bad boy. Okay. I believe at one point I saw some documentary about the Kentucky Hill Blue people, where these people live so far deep in the mountains and the woods that they would never get enough vitamin D. And so they were actually a shade of blue. Hold on. Let me see where these people were at. The Kentucky Blue people. Yeah, this is real. You can Google it. They were called the Blue Fugates, the true story of the Kentucky Blue people. Okay, the Blue Fugates were a family from eastern Kentucky, notably recognized for their blue skin, a genetic condition passed down over generations. Okay, I thought it's because they lived so far in the woods. Dude, I'm sure this lovely gal named probably Francesca shows up from Italy off the boat, and they're like, y'all want to go to the Burger King? I don't mind our cousin. He's just fucking purple. Like, I'm sure she was like, what am I doing here? Or why? Why am I here? And it's just as I was backed up gastrointestinally while I was in Italy because the food was pure and my body probably didn't know how to process that. She probably felt the same way coming to America, and she only was eating Kraft singles and Bugles. Do y'all remember when you put Bugles on your fingernails and it was like you had acrylics, and you'd walk around the pool when you were like, 9, and you were like just eating the Bugles, and you'd tap your little Bugle fingers across everything? Oh, you didn't do that? Okay, it was just me. Great, cool. Yeah, I can only imagine. And I love Dear Caller. I love that that's a core memory that pops up for you all the time. I definitely feel that. I have a memory kind of similar. We had this kid, Craig Cormack, who I grew up with. He showed up the first day of school. What grade were we in? Like 4th grade. And he was from Scotland. And everybody chased him around on the playground. And they were like, say something, Craig. Say something. And we were just yelling words at him like, say licorice. He would say it in like his thick Scottish accent. Craig ended up being like a soccer star, super smart kid, went to Georgia Tech. But I just remember like later on in high school going up to Craig one day and going like, hey, Craig, I just need you to know, I think I may have been a part of the mob who chased you around the blacktop and asked you to say words like licorice and aquarium. I'm so sorry. And he was like, it's all right, Heather. Now he has like no Scottish accent. He has a full English accent. I was just like, it's on my conscience. I'm sorry that we mobbed you. But God, can you imagine? Can you imagine that poor gal from Italy? Probably didn't shit the entire time she was here because her insides were just congealing with GMOs and just Burger King and Bojangles and Pizza Hut. You know what I mean? She probably was locked up tight. She probably thought when she was flying back to Italy that her body would spontaneously combust because she just was like, I haven't eaten anything pure farm to table this entire semester. I'd love to know more information about this gal. Where is she now? Or is there a Netflix documentary we could do about her? Actually, that would be a great idea. Ooh, that's a good idea. You follow around exchange students, like a study abroad switch, like a Freaky Friday switch, and you see the different shared experiences. Have they ever had anything like that before? No. I mean, I love the show Locked Up Raw. That's that's what would happen. The Italians would come to America and be like, this place is a shit. And the Americans would go to Italy and just get locked up for some fucking crime. That's what it is. But I love that. I love that she came to the States and you think about her all the time. Find out where she is. Please call back. Find out where she is. I need a wellness check. Did she make it out or did she get eaten by one of the purple people in the woods? I need to know where she is. Oh, God. Here we are, just doing our best. Meanwhile, we were just shoving chemicals and forever plastics down the gullet like a foie gras goose, just down this poor little Italian girl's throat. Just like, welcome to freedom. Now, I will say, listen, Italy has their fucking problems. We learned firsthand it's impossible to get anything done. The government's a mess. People don't make a lot of money there, but they all seem fairly happy and healthy. So it is what it is. Every country's got its problems. But, who knows? This girl could have shown up and been partying in a barn and thought this was the best day of her life. She probably came from a rich family outside of Milan. And the Milanese, they can be a little snobby. She probably was like, I fucking love this. Remember the show Summer Heights High with Jamae? It was probably like a Jamae situation where Jamae, let me do my Aussie accent. She shows up to like the public school and she's like, you guys are poor. Like it was probably one of those situations where she loved it and she hooked up with like all the hot country Eastern Kentucky boys. I am a little concerned that you said you graduated with 19 because that's too small. That is absolutely too small. But it does sound like a good time. I'm thinking of her. I'm thinking of you. And I would love to know where she is now. Wellness check on Francesca. Let's get one last voicemail.
Hey, Heather. This is Julia from Chicago. I'm just calling because I just saw on Instagram you posted your sandals. It's like a link for everyone. But, like, you're giving out those feet pics for free. And so because you're giving them out for free, I was like, oh, my gosh, I wonder if Heather made it onto WikiFeet yet. And absolutely not. There is a literal page dedicated to your feet, 68 photos of your feet on WikiFeet, and they rated you a 3.5 out of 5, which, like, isn't bad considering you think it's like a cheddar block. One person said beautiful, 7 said nice, 9 said okay, 2 said bad, and 2 said ugly. Yeah, I just thought you would want to know about your presence on WikiFeet. Okay, love and light. Bye.
Okay, the 2 people who said ugly, I will fucking find you. I will find you and I will have words with you. But I will have a fresh French tip manicure, a pedicure, and I will prove you wrong. Wow, I had no idea I had a WikiFeet. Hold on, is this something I can look up? WikiFeet, Heather McMahan. So people will DM me a lot and be like, don't give away the feet pics for free. But I'm like, okay, nobody's actually looking at this. Wait a minute, y'all. There's an actual fucking, it's got photos from my wedding. It has wait a minute. Oh my. You guys, I didn't think this was real. Oh, it has photos from way back. It has photos of me in costume, in character. Wait a minute. Okay. This is insane. Wait, how do I look at the comments? It has my birthday on here. That's fucking creepy. Shoe size not set. Well, I'll let them know. 11. Wow. Okay. So I got 3.5 stars. I gotta be honest with you. I'll take it. I do have a wide set foot. I didn't know that. I really kind of thought this was a bullshit thing. I do feel like there are better better photos that I could upload for them. Got any more Heather McMahan feet pictures? Upload here. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely will. Well, you know what? You win some, you lose some. And hold on, can I click on one of these and then they have a comment? Wow. I mean, my feet look great there. I was told a long time ago I have great foot cleavage, toe cleavage, so everyone can suck it. You know, my foot raw dog, maybe not the best. And I said this before, like I'm one of those people, I look better completely naked than bound in lingerie. Like when it's all loose, it just hits the places it's supposed to hit. I feel far more confident completely nude than I do in like some sort of getup. I do. Wow, I did not know. Okay, funny, interesting enough. When we were at Pelicano, Lily Allen, who's one of my favorite UK pop stars. I was a big Lily Allen fan growing up, still am. She was there. And actually, this is interesting. I didn't even know this voicemail was going to be in this. She posted something and I was like, oh my God, she's here. And I saw her and her husband, DK Harbour, who's an actor who was on Stranger Things and he's done like Marvel and all these amazing things. So they were there and I was like, I really want to say something to Lily Allen. I love her. I love her husband. I chickened out. I didn't say anything. But she literally just posted on her podcast that she started a Wiki Feet because she got a perfect rating. Hold on. Lily Allen, Wiki Feet. She's starting an OnlyFans because she has a perfect rating on WikiFeet. Yes, she is a 5 out of 5. And I'm clicking on her toes. They're very nice. But she has she has photos like of her feet perfect. Like the photos that I have up are not posed. They're like moving in action. Wow, full circle, guys. I had no idea that I had a Wiki feed. And here I was sitting next to one of my favorite pop stars of all time on vacation, who was also deeply rolling her eyes at all the people from fucking Connecticut. And here she was, a foot star. So Lily, if you ever see this, reach out to me. I'd love some tips and tricks on how to have a 5 out of 5 star on Wiki feed. This is so funny. And the reason I knew this is because I was posting photos from the hotel and I saw that she had geotagged it and she had put up a photo of her feet. That's fucking amazing. Wow. Small world. Well, you know what? I'd rather have 3.5 stars out of my feet and, not 1 star out of my asshole. So that's all I got to say. You got to take it. You got to take life with, you never know what it's going to throw you. You never know what you're going to lose in the ocean. But if you just continue to live your life with an open heart, clear eyes, can't lose. You really can't lose. I've run out of steam. I have nothing else left to say. Thank you for coming on this emotional journey for part 2 of this podcast. And next week we'll be back with the usual bullshit. So thank you for coming along to Heather's Storytelling Time. But I'll see you on the next episode. Arrivederci, ciao bella. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.